Alright, we are recording. Continuing in Titan Quest 2. No, this one. Okay. My brain is just trying to turn back on. Been kind of a tired week for me. And where am I going? I know did all that. Okay, so it'd be up here. Got it. So yeah, because last week did Going Medieval, since that had finally gotten its 1.0 release. I was quite unimpressed by that. So yeah, back here. Yeah, I'll continue this way. Sort of. Keep coming. There we go. Yeah, sorry I need to clear my throat like that. Wow. Did not feel that need until I started talking. So yeah, put a couple things in my notes to talk about. One is somewhat interesting. We'll see exactly how it... Come on. There we go. Yeah, I was saying we'll see exactly how it works out. Nope, I want my activations. Because this will have impacts elsewhere, but I saw that... Oh crap, I don't remember who was it the initial suit was with. But anyway, the Supreme Court ruled, because however many years ago now, some music labels tried suing an ISP, claiming that they were liable for some of the piracy that had happened. And the Supreme Court has unanimously, though for different reasons, decided no, they're not liable for that. You can't hold them because that's secondary liability. And yeah, that I'm trying to remember. I think it was the majority was basically like, yeah, this is not reasonable at all. But there were those that were in agreement on the final decision were like, yeah, we shouldn't have as wide-ranging an opinion on this. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, and more of the details to it, but essentially, sorry, I'm just getting distracted now as so many monsters. Okay, I think we can finally, there we go. Let's bring him down here. But yeah, and this... I do get how it gets tricky. Copyright infringement stuff does get tricky in a situation like that, but it still is. This would be like saying that if you had a private road and somebody who robbed a bank then drove along it, the bank can sue you. Like there's a certain element of that there, and it's like, that makes no sense. But it isn't that simple. It isn't that simple, because technically you do have some ability to control that road.
Absorbing the power from the latest Titan Ichor, the Ichthians uncovered. I need more.
The God Marked is interfering. We would already have two more if not for that.
I will deal with the God Marked. But don't think I've forgotten your past failings. Your weakness is the cause of all of...
Oh, okay, stop there. So it just occurred to me I should actually check some stuff. And now I also see it. Okay, it's just... Alright. But, yeah, it does get complicated, because technically, like an ISP could, like if they were informed proper way about like a website that all it does is traffic in pirated material, that would, it's like, then yeah, that you can argue no, they because that's all only illegal activity. They need to shut that down. I'm not sure of the particulars of the case, by the way. I'm just trying to talk through how I can see there being a reasonable argument that an ISP would have to, would be liable. But the problem is that I'm not even sure if there are many websites that are like that are just purely pirated material. Then should acknowledge I have very limited knowledge of the dark, or at least the so-called dark web. That's like, a lot of stuff. It's like, well, no, it's used for legitimate purposes. It's just also used for this. So, and it does become unreasonable to try to claim that an ISP should have that granular control. At least in my opinion, it does. Man. Now, it is true that I think Sony was technically one of the companies that was suing the ISP. I might not be remembering that correctly. But they were... They did include that they had reported that, hey, this was happening, but still is a... What's the ISP supposed to do? Supposed to say, hey, this specific download on a site that we are not blocking cannot be downloaded? That's not reasonable. In theory, there might be... just the ISP decide to terminate the customer's contract. But then you also run into the issue of, okay, well, how if it was Sony that was reporting it, how do we know, how does the ISP know that's legitimate? Like, should they just trust and do it immediately? I mean, it's like, that's not reasonable either. And it's also like, consider how like YouTube's copyright claim system is so screwed up and is exploited. I've seen people talk about how there are people that impersonate companies to claim copyrights, not to block the video from being there anymore, but it's like, oh, well, we want some of the money from the monetization. But if you actually some people decided to start doing investigate, trying to figure out who exactly it was, and it turned out it was fraudulent. That looked like what was happening. And this is their theory. It's reasonable to me that this can happen, but I don't know if it's necessarily true. They found, as they dug into it, they found that, yeah, it looks like somebody, like has somebody who would work at YouTube and would just basically see that, oh, well, that's, would, when the challenge comes in, would just be like, yeah, even if you point out, I don't think they own the rights, the person working at YouTube would be like, no, it's good. But they would also do things like try to use official-looking names for like email addresses and such. But it's also, if the email address is at Gmail, it becomes more reasonable to believe that let's want to see, what would I? Let's get this up. So it's become more and more reasonable to believe that it is fake. But it is also true that there are some companies that might use a Gmail account for managing the copyright stuff, as opposed to something more internal. It just gets weird because because of just how the account can move around, but it is still there is a known issue that people can fake that they can impersonate an actual copyright owner in order to abuse YouTube's copyright strike system. So yeah, I do think it becomes now that's completely internal to YouTube, how their policy is there. But when you start getting into, ISPs and contracts being signed, it's not just a free website. It gets a lot more complicated there. That it would make sense that you have to err on the side of I mean, if there's a warrant telling them to do something, okay, because at least the company... Let's say... Just use the example of, okay, a company, a copyright holder claims that, hey, this guy is downloading a bunch of our stuff illegally. We want you to shut it down. Well, let's say the ISP does that. Now, and then that person tries suing, saying that, hey, I paid you, you're supposed to, fulfill your contract, you terminated it on me. Well, what if they were like, well, we were told that, you were doing this. It's like, okay, did you investigate? Like, you can't prove that happened. You can't prove I violated any terms of yours. So, you get into liability issues. And, yeah, so I can definitely believe for that reason alone. And it's also something else that I'm not, the funny thing is, I don't think I've seen anyone talk about it. Maybe it's just I've not seen it, as opposed to people talking about it. But it just reminds me back to the net neutrality stuff. What was that attacking? ISPs. And it's because it was one of those things that I found, like the net neutrality arguments that they had previously. Oh man, that would be about a decade ago now, or more. It was so false. I'm sorry, it really was. It had very little to do with actual net neutrality. It was just a way to try to control the ISPs. Because it was only written in such a way that ISPs would be held responsible for stuff. But, this was also the case, a website could do all the non-neutral stuff they wanted to, and there would be no repercussions for them under the net neutrality rules. It's like, how does that make sense? And for anyone wondering, it is true, because like Netflix, part of what pushed for the creation of the net neutrality rules was that I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Comcast was trying to negotiate with Netflix, because Netflix has enough traffic there that it's like, hey, we want to have specific servers that are optimized specifically for Netflix traffic, so that you should not be fine with that. Such that it's better for Netflix customers, it's better for other non-Netflix customers on Comcast. And Comcast and all the ISPs, what they do for something like that is they negotiate with the website. So they would negotiate with Netflix, they would negotiate with Amazon, because they have a lot of servers. They would negotiate with Google, Facebook, and so on and so forth. Netflix, however, decided to be like, no, we're not going to negotiate. You should just do this for us. It's like, but we want you to... It's going to benefit everyone. We just want you to, help pay for the new servers. And they were like, nope. So what happened from that was Comcast was like, all right, then we're going to throttle the traffic to you, because we can't afford to have you at full speed, because it's compromising the speed of the rest of the network, the reliability of the rest of the network. So Netflix decided to get a little pissy about that, and people decided to side with Netflix instead of Comcast on this. Now you can argue that, well, Comcast is a worse company. Okay, that's fine, but it's still, there's an element of, because people go to Netflix. They don't think about going to Comcast. Comcast is, the pipes running to your house. Netflix is the drinking water, is the water you shower in and such. So it's like you think about what you're using it for. You're not thinking about how it gets there, kind of thing. But so they tried to put in net neutrality. That got swatted down though later. But what else ended up coming out that Netflix had been doing? If you just if you were just connected via a Verizon connection, which most people would associate them with wireless. Verizon's just a full-on telecommunications company. So you also have a hard line to homes and businesses from Verizon. They would just throttle you. No one knew this. It's like for the net neutrality rules only touched ISPs. Nothing for the actual website companies, which means that completely unethical behavior. Because that wasn't we're throttling it on mobile because, we don't want to blow up your data use. It's like, no, everyone. They were throttling on Verizon net neutrality would never have touched them. Because that's how those rules were written. So yeah, seeing this decision that basically, if the ISP is behaving neutrally, they're not liable.
Keep them searching to the
Yeah.
west as I go to... Wait.
What is it? My lady!
Be silent. Someone is listening.
Oh, gods. It seems this connection works both ways. Let's just pray she doesn't realize who we are.
But yeah, so I think that, you know, that's fair. Now, that's not to say, you know, like, if they got, if any ISP were given, I'm trying to think the best way to put it, because a warrant, definitely, but would there be something lower than a warrant that would be fair to say, yeah, you know, you gotta, you know, stop this traffic for that as well? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that would necessarily be, but it's like, you know, to actually ensure there's proper investigations going on. Which one was this also? Okay. I actually do have that on the other guy.
That Titanica looks like it's almost been completely drained of energy.
So I just want to get stuff ready. I think they first spawn down here.
Hello, little rat. Did you think I wouldn't notice you scurrying around down there? Snatching scraps? Listening in?
I mean, you didn't know about listening in for quite a while, so... yeah. I have no idea what this guy's doing. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what the downstream results of this precedent will set, though.
You're snatching at discarded scraps.
Because it also is one of those things that, like,
Barely shadows that I
Section 230 is... So, just to explain that one as well.
too much for you.
How am I getting so many essence right here? It's like on the other character, I would farm bosses and wasn't getting them, and I just got 2 right away. That's kind of silly.
Is it over? Is it safe to fully absorb the Nemesis energy now?
Sorry, that
Let's hurry.
yeah, that's right. I was trying my 230.
I have a bad feeling about
Which-
all this.
The essence of 230, but it is abused, is supposed to be that if for websites, and I think it would also apply to ISPs, they cannot be held liable for the content somebody puts up on a site, provided, and this is where it gets really, really abused, provided they are not editorializing, essentially. And that's where it absolutely gets abused. So, how can I... Ah, there we go. We finally walked down. So, using YouTube, since this will go up on YouTube as an example, if somebody... So long as YouTube keeps it fairly open as far as what you can put up there, but if somebody were to put objectionable, but not necessarily illegal content up, if it's illegal, then obviously YouTube has every right and responsibility even to remove it. But let's say it's very objectionable. Well, let's say it even is illegal, and it just there's a result from it being something happens from it being up there that okay, I'm gonna head back because I actually want to clear there. That there's something that happens because of illegal content before they take it down. They can't be held liable, provided that they are acting just as like, hey, it's up here, and we basically only curate based on legal content. That they are otherwise neutral. 230 is supposed to give them protection there, and also therefore encourage them to be neutral. However, There's also a problem that you do see companies. I'm pretty sure this has actually happened with YouTube. It may have been Facebook. I don't remember. It's been a while, and I'm not an expert on this stuff. I know this stuff happens. That doesn't mean that I try to memorize everything. There are other people that do that. But they've actually argued in the same court even that they both are being neutral, therefore they have protections of 230, but then also say that they are freely allowed to take down whatever content they wish for whatever reason they wish and without explanation, which the thing is that the protection from 230 is supposed to be only if you don't do that kind of thing. Like once you start doing that, once you start editorializing, or putting another way, curating the content, at that point you are then supposed to lose the protections. Because now you are responsible. Because it's like, okay, well, you're already curating content, you chose to leave this up. So that means then that you do take on responsibility. You are signing off on its presence there. Yeah, it's 230 is one of those things where, on the one hand, yes, that should exist. On the other hand, it needs to be enforced properly, and it hasn't been. But then it's also, it's like, another issue is so much of this shit is, like YouTube and such, they don't enforce their own terms of services properly. Like, there was something I saw not that long ago where they couldn't even say what it was that got somebody suspended. And it's like, people were trying to look into it. It's like, and it was like the entire account got taken down or something like that. It's like there were no warnings. It just happened. And it's like, why? There was no explanation. None of the content was illegal. To their knowledge, nothing was against the terms of service. But there's also instances of people where it's like they are absolutely violating terms of service, but it gets to stay up. Just because it's like good for the algorithm, I guess, whatever. I don't know. But it would be interesting if somehow somebody managed to break a TOS. Like, actually say, no, this has to go to a court. It can't just go to private arbitration. It would be very interesting if that would ever happen, because I think if you saw that happen, you would end up discovering that a lot of TOSs are either illegal or their execution has been illegal because they've not been followed appropriately. But in any case, I hope that I don't get in trouble for talking about this stuff. And it is also, some of this I do know because I've read it and thought about it. Some of it is just stuff I kind of sort of remember hearing. So, and I can be wrong on plenty of it. My background is not in law. But it still is like, man, this was years ago. I once had a copyright claim on a video where they were trying to claim it was literally just the sound of screeching violins. And it's like, what? I just let the audio be muted. I didn't care enough to fight on that. But still, it's like, what? Plus, there's that whole, okay, let's say I challenge it. Who's going to be, is a human actually going to look at this? Or is it just, or a human that's interested in making the correct decision? Or is it somebody who just, nah, I'm just here to push buttons kind of person who doesn't care? I didn't feel it was worth pushing that. Because, like, you can't, I mean, it's just the sound of screeching violins. It wasn't music. Well, it technically was music because it was a video game background noise, but it still is this is not identifiable. You couldn't claim that it was knowingly anyone. So anyhow, but it's like, what, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying with the ISP kind of stuff. It's like YouTube's rules, they are so loose that something like that can happen. Why should an ISP just trust when somebody makes a claim that, hey, this is my stuff? Why should they trust that that's not a lie? Alright. That's enough of that topic, and I do have another one. That is fairly interesting. THQ Nordic or Grimlore Games, whichever you want to say. They have teased... Okay, I'm full enough, let's warp back. They provided some teaser information for the next update for this. Mainly was providing information on summons, though not about the
Welcome. Make yourself.
oh crap, what was it?
Pirates. Restless dead.
No. Oh, hang on. What is... Yeah, no, don't need them. Crap, I don't remember the name of the new mastery that's coming, but they were... It is a summoner class.
You made it to camp. I'm glad you made it here. 3 deckhands are... If you're heading out... Thank you. Their names are Hippias.
That taken care of, and I... Okay, so he is just up there. I want to warp back and finish where I was, though. I will talk to Glaucus, though, before ending this. But yeah, so it gave plenty of information on summons, including that even though, yes, we are getting a new mastery that will definitely have summons, apparently every mastery is getting a summon ability. Yeah, so, like, Forge, because that's what I'm focusing on here, will get a automaton, so literally a mechanical man walking around, following you and attacking enemies. So that's going to be cool. They will be, like, auras where they're sustained, so they actually reserve some energy, which, in a way, that's going to be good, because, like, I'm as you can see, my build is largely trapped, but traps don't use, well, the device, they don't use mana. They don't use energy. They use the cores, so I don't need to worry about, you know, like on the on this thing, I don't need to worry about conservation. Because, like, nope, so long as there's enough energy to sustain it, I'm good. I don't need to do more than that. I'm gonna head up there first, because this is like, that up there is the final part of this cave. So yeah, Forge gets automaton. Warfare, which is the other one that I have here, the other mastery, is getting the, hang on, War Banner, which won't move, will not move. There we go. Okay. Is that... Okay. I've been picking up, you know, these things, and they go over there. That's why I want to make sure I cleared all of this out. Okay, yeah. So, hang on. Let me finish going through this list. So, yeah. Warfare getting War Banner, Forge getting Automaton, Storm is getting Wisps, Rogue is getting Shadow Clone, and Earth is getting Core Dweller, which is, actually, that is a summon from the original Titan Quest. So that'll be interesting to see how they have redone that. But one thing also that they state there that is quite interesting is it's, sorry, my brain just turned off a little bit. Yes, they will use energy, and it will be sustained, which also means then they will, my brain just turned off again. They will automatically resummon when destroyed. That's definitely neat. Because that was something that in Titan Quest 1 with the, one build well, no, I've done more than one. A summon build I did, it's like trying to keep them up all the time can get a little annoying. When they start, dying. So yeah, that's definitely neat to see. Alright. They do describe active and passive builds will be supported. So how they defined it was, you know, passive build is just a summon will run out and kill stuff for you. Okay. Whereas active would be where you are like casting spells on them to enhance them or triggering abilities on them, things like that. So that may prove interesting. We'll see. Oh, that's right. It did also say most summons will reserve some energy, but not necessarily all, I guess. We're getting new item types, talismans, which they describe as being offhand to work with to work with not summons, sorcerers. But they would then be like in place of the shields. They likened them to the artifacts of the original game, which those had their own dedicated slot. So just going to offhand, I find that a little curious how that is going to work out. Epics are getting rework. It'd be more interesting, which, yeah, that is one issue that I would have, is that the gear of the game is not necessarily that impressive. Even as you get to higher levels, where it's like, I mean, yeah, sometimes they're more powerful, sometimes they're not. And it's like on the level 50 character that I'm running at like a plus 10 or something. Yeah, so let's... Yeah, okay. Place that. The gear that will drop will be like, yeah, around 200 armor. Like, I've seen some where it's like 230 armor. This is level like 50 armor, but is only giving like 200, a level 50 piece of armor. That's only giving me like 230 armor and some stats where it's like they're not even that impressive. So yeah, it's improving epics and also adding additional affixes and such. Yeah, that will help. Hopefully you can just widen the pool as far as what you can get that will be interesting and enjoyable. So yeah, we will ultimately see how that works out. And they also do want to like add new affixes and stuff. And it's like it's exactly what I was just saying, that the gear isn't always that impressive, and it sounds like they do want to make some changes to have it become more impressive. Potions are getting new and quote more powerful affixes as well, which I still would like to see. Not that because of how I play, the fact that you only get how many charges is this? 2? Yeah, it's like 1 charge here, 1 charge here. I still don't like that. I'd like it if we could have more charges there, and energy is technically only 1. But I would like to see it where those can change. Where you can get... Hang on, I do need to go up here. Where you can get... Okay. There we go. Clear all that.
You have gold.
Sure. I'm trying to remember. You do... At some point, you do actually... I think it is like on the 3rd or 4th. Okay, there. That I think is it. And after this, you just get total garbage. Anyway, yeah, so I'd like to see that. And I mean, it could also just be other things too. Like, I mean, it would be interesting if you got epics. Could get epics of those, because those are something that you can just have on you. Like any hero can equip those. And imagine if you had one that was a +1 point to all passives. That would be actually really neat. It would be very powerful. That would be like an epic potion. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I want to make sure that these things are dead first. There was also a mention, but it was unclear from how it was written, at least unclear to me, about like potentially having the ability to invest points into energy directly. It was just odd because it made it could have been a, yeah, we know people are asking for that. We're not necessarily going to do that, but we're going to do other things to help increase the amount of energy, because some builds, people are finding that they are running out of energy too soon. Fortunately, none of my builds would be bothered by that. I tend to, because I've mentioned this before, I tend to be a fairly conservative gamer in anything. So, in like how I try to make sure that I'm not just summoning sentries and what have you unnecessarily. Even like right now, how instead of just summoning new things, I'm just getting these guys to come up here to where they'll be killed. Okay. At one point, like everything you could pull stuff out of. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ultimately happens with that. And they did say that it's nearly ready. That the next update is nearly ready. Not entirely sure what that will mean. Aside from, I will apparently have to yeah. And whenever that is, whenever it goes live, it's like, well, I guess I'm starting a new character. Not for stream. That will be just for me. Oh, yeah. That... I mean... That's... might be worth it. How much agility? 137. I definitely have the points to reach it. Yeah, sure. Oh. Because that's... Oh. Okay, I didn't have to. Because I forgot it's okay. I was misreading. I thought that it had higher damage. Because I was comparing against that, which was lower. Because I wasn't reading what it actually was. I was just assuming I was looking at the right thing. Stupid me. Oh well. This isn't actually what I had before. It's still better. Alright. Let's warp back, start selling some stuff. But yeah, so I'll make up that new... because I'm pretty happy with how this build is going.
Need something.
I'm glad to be back in here.
It's good to hear people.
Yeah, so that'll just be for my own enjoyment, which fine with me. If I end up making a new, well, that also let me decide then if I'm making up a new character, what for the stream, what I would do there. You know, it's also, I would potentially also go back to the first stream character as well, since in theory they will also be getting a summon. That was a lightning and something, I don't remember which. So it would be wisps that would get in there, and whatever the other the summon is from the other. Okay, just do this. There we go. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I don't know, nearly ready. I would assume that will mean sometime next month. one thing not mentioned, but I mean, they'd have to do it. Especially if everyone is getting a summon. If every mastery is getting a summon. So everyone would have access then to 2 summons. They'd have to add in... that's annoying. They would have to add in something for being able to view your summons stats. It would have to be there, so... Actually, wait. Let's sell some stuff.
It'll be ready soon.
Need something. Oh, the great god Glaucus, grace in my...
Here we go. It is weird how that is. Like, you can clearly see them. The blade trap gets them, but the sentry doesn't. And if I could have shot one, that would have that would also reveal them. Just realized that wasn't turned on. There's also something else that it said that I found a little odd. That because of the summons being sustained, made it sound like that meant that you didn't need them in the summon bar at all. And it's like, that doesn't seem right. Because, I mean, it's not like there's some way here to turn them on. That would be kind of neat. You can turn that on even if to lock it on, although maybe they will add that. So that way you don't need to go in, and you don't need a slot. You can just say, hey, always have this on. When I'm alive, have it on. Yeah, so you see, yeah, this is that spot up further north by where I came in was like this at one point, I thought. Is there anything else I can mention while I continue here? Well, maybe I was confusing the spot up there with this location. One thing, though, I can mention that hopefully I will be able to experiment with soon, but not just yet. I randomly felt like looking at the... Because I'll talk about some video encoding stuff and AB1. I know I talk about that. Sometimes it's just a rant. This at least would be a positive one. I randomly felt like looking back at the parameters for the SVT AV1 HDR fork of the SVT AV1 encoder, and saw a mention of some changes to the noise to the noise system. So they've added in photon noise, which is like the film grain. Well, it's still part of the film grain synthesis concept, but where for a long time the film grain tool in there, it was supposed to be analyzing the video before and after encoding, and then putting together the parameters for the film grain synthesis based on the analysis. But photon noise was just I want this intensity of of film grain, and just apply that generically across the frame. That can be a lot faster because it's not doing the analysis, but it also doesn't have to be as accurate. Well, as I was looking, saw that apparently somebody has done something that I very much want to investigate, very much want to explore. They added grain size as a parameter, and I'm so glad to see that. Hopefully I will. Hopefully it is what I want it to be, but I don't know. That's been one criticism that I've had for the film grain stuff for so long. Okay. I'm gonna go back through here. Is that the film grain is like always the same size in the film grain synthesis, but in reality, film grain varied very much. In fact, it can even vary scene by scene. In movies. So being able to adjust, even if it is just the generic thing for the entire film and not scene by scene, it still is the ability to control that. The size is huge. Because that, I'm saying, I got one movie I'm trying to re-encode for my server that it, I didn't realize I had that here. It is so grainy. AV1 cannot. I can't have AV1 work with it. AV1 just hates that grain. So it's either destroying detail. AV1 is either destroying detail when it tries to encode, or is going to take an obscenely high bitrate. Whereas I turn no 265, and 265 is like, yeah, sure, I can do this, no problem. Now, in theory, this wouldn't help the issue there of just AV1 struggling to encode it, but at least with faking the film grain on top with film grain synthesis, that could be so much better. That may end up improving significantly with this change, because instead of it being a fine grain on top of a coarse grain, I might be able to get it to be coarse grain on top of coarse grain. So it'll all mix together and blend in better. Why it has taken this freaking long, I don't know. But I mean, it's, as I've speculated before, I think some people behind AV1, they don't actually know how film works. Okay, I'm gonna come down here because I think that this is a dead end. Yeah. Okay. That's what that sound was. Really, I stopped talking because I heard something. It's like, is that like heavy wind? Is that a car? What was it? No, I heard a train whistle. Because I just heard it again. It's like, okay, that makes sense. There it's going again. Alright. No, pick that up as well. Okay. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else mentioned, but nothing really coming to mind. Nice. 2 levels in one video. And not even 50 minutes. There. Yep. That's maxed out. And that. So actually, hang on. How many? So plus 8 activations. So total of 14. And yeah, 6% more per remaining activation up to 60%. So the first 4 activations will be at plus, well, first 5 activations will be at plus 60. Yeah. That's fun. I'm just looking to see if there's any others here that would be. Yeah, that's not gonna help. I think Frail's probably the only one. Okay, that actually could be nice too. So if I do that... But yeah, let's actually have it this way. So now there's a 10% chance of an activation being free. Which is actually less impactful than just the +2. Although that is also true though, because I do have the additional activations from that. So right there. No, actually, yeah, let me do this. Come on. There we go. Is that really it? I was expecting... Oh, one more. Alright. That was funny. Just all these things trying to attack me, put one trap down, all die in one attack. Yeah.
To find it. His toy horse. My poor boy.
Come on, there we go.
You found it. That
There we
horse.
go.
When will you, please?
Yep. Nearly done. Alright. So that finishes off this whole map. I just want to talk to Galacos, and then I'll turn in the toy.
Die file worked. I can
Don't say that.
One is Scylla herself. She's so filled with Nemesis energy that what happened with Scylla was the
What exactly?
It's, not, and she's making her lair. But Nemesis has done something to the place, probably for the best. Scylla has eaten. Good thing I sensed one concentration of power in ancient Mycenaean ruins, and another in the shipwrecked crew has been building a good luck.
There. And to save even this small amount of time, just there.
There are pirates and monsters everywhere.
Need something magical to help you out.
What? What did he say?
My horse. Oh, God's fault. He did. I've waited so long. Thank you. I don't know what to say.
Be wary beyond these walls. Pirates, restless dead, Ichthyans. Worse.
And here.
To look after anything.
Scylla. I hope she doesn't come for us.
Alright. There. There. And I throw them that way. Okay. Good. So next week, should be heading off this way. Take care of that stuff. What fun. What fun. Stretching a little bit. We'll, yeah, see you then.